So next up, we have Kimberley Gardiner and Elisa Castro from VW, Volkswagen of America. And they just got an award, which we did the photos of over by the Grip and Grin, which you are all welcome to use if you'd like to take your own photos and post them on social. We would love to see that. They got the award for the ID4, the Volkswagen ID4 launch, which was incredible. They just made a new vehicle, and everybody knows now what it is. So, but that's not what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about the next big vehicle from Volkswagen, which is the Buzz, which I talked about a little bit. They introduced it in Austin at South by Southwest, and they're going to tell you more about the plans for that. So, Kimberley and Elisa.
I have prepared remarks. Oh, shoot, I forgot them. Never mind. I'm just kidding. You know me, guys, right? First of all, I'm really bad at microphones behind podiums, so I just threw a little bit of a wrench in things for Tanya and Jeff and said, we're going to sit, we're going to try that, but if I get up and move around, just go with it, because I love having fun with this audience. I always say to people, Media Post is one of my favorites because you guys are awesome and rad and a great, great crowd. Elisa is new to Media Post, so show her a little love. All right, we'll get started. Hold on. I'm going to be like Tanya was. Okay, I'm going to interview Elisa. Just kidding. All right, why don't we get into, do you want to grab the clicker from up there, por favor? But before I get started, see, I'm already moving around. I can't help myself. But keep the energy going. Thank you. I had a funny Uber ride. So usually I take Lyft, but Lyft, it was like 20-minute wait and $50. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I looked on Uber, and I saw, Toyota Camry. It's going to be here in a few minutes. Awesome, great. And I get in the car. And the gentleman was very nice. I could tell it was maybe like a makeshift or a what do you call it? Like a augmented, not reality, but a taxi that had been switched over to a Uber recently. And some funny signs and stuff, give me 5-star ratings and all that good stuff, call for help here. And he started driving, and it was this gas on, gas off, which I don't know if you have any drivers that drive like this in your family. I'm so sorry if you do. But you kind of go like this a lot. I'm like, buddy, okay, yeah. And then I'm looking at my app going, how far do I have to go? And I noticed his name is Elvis. I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun. So my thinking, my segue to ID Buzz is that it's funny, maybe in an EV world, seeing almost 50% of consumers considering an EV, which is awesome. And what will that look like with that gas on, gas off, right? Because it's kind of EV on, EV off. So maybe for people that drive like that, it's just going to be smooth. It's going to be smooth. And Elvis can do his thing, right? Maybe that's his fun way of driving. Anyway, all right. And here we have an Amber Alert. Maybe Elvis is truly in the building. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to talk about ID Buzz. This car, it truly, I think, is a really neat time for Volkswagen. It's a great time for the industry. EV, as we've all been talking about, and you'll see on the show floor, if you haven't already been up there, there is so much cool stuff happening in the EV space. And for those of us who have been around for a little bit of time, Allison, Tanya, myself, I mean, it's so great to see this change happen. And it's so cool to see a car like this that I promise you, when you see it, which is going to be in our space today, if you don't smile, something's not right. Let's talk, okay? Let's talk. But in all seriousness, I think it's great to see a moment in time where we need a car like this. And I'm not just saying that because I miss, my manual transmission BMW 2002 Tii 1974, to be really specific. And I miss the thrill of just looking at a car and going, oh, I love it. I love driving this car. And I think the ID Buzz is one of those cars that's going to do that, not only for people like us in the room who are really into cars, but people who aren't, and young kids, and families, and so many people that I think have had such a great reaction to the vehicle so far, and we haven't even really officially launched it, which is awesome. But before we go forward in time, and I know we're here to talk about the metaverse and Web 3.0 and NFTs, and the world is going to be great. I really hope so. I don't know about you, but I was thinking about virtual world about 2 years ago when COVID hit, and it's like, virtual world sounds pretty good, right? If we can just kind of get into a space where you can do what you want to do and have fun with your friends, and then Zoom and Teams meetings and Skype, and you're like, okay, never mind. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be back in real life. So I like the promise of both. But let's kind of step back for a moment. And I think when it comes to nostalgia, it's fair to say that a car that comes to mind is the good old school, microbus that Volkswagen had from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Many of us were not around then, but many of us have seen them on the road today. These are really hot commodities. People love doing these cars up. I think there is a pent-up demand for something like this to kind of resonate in people again, especially at a time when culture is, I don't know, how do you describe where we are today? It's challenging, it's hard, it's tough. Young consumers are feeling like, what the heck is happening? And I think our industry can really kind of do the best of both worlds. And what I mean by that is harken back to that feeling of that independence, being on the road, taking a road trip, and then the best of the future, right? So I had to go up and dig up some of our old ads. It's like sports car, gear not included. Legal these days would never let us do some of these ads. You get more folks in a Volkswagen. Not everybody's got a seatbelt. Maybe they don't all fit, but oh well. But again, this is a long time ago. So, but I think it's fair to say we miss some of this fun. At least I do, right? And then it comes the buzz. And I think this is, again, where we can really truly say a car that brings you a smile, a car that makes you feel good about the future is something that we all could use right now. And I can easily say that, but I think when I saw the car for the first time in person, when you see it in person, if you haven't already, I think that's when you're really going to see, like, this is something we all really, really need, and I think it's the perfect time to be able to do it. We just wish it would come a little sooner. We'll talk about that. So we had our global reveal. So technically, the car has not yet been revealed here in the US. We had our global reveal back on March 9th out of Germany. Also, our CEO, Scott Keogh, did a short video for the US audience to reveal it and bring it here. But again, this is the European version. This version will actually be launched in Europe later this year. It will be a two-row vehicle. So a short wheelbase, a standard wheelbase car, but it has a lot of the same design cues and a lot of the same, I think, Easter eggs and treats and fun that the one that we'll get, which will happen a little bit further down the road. But I can't help myself because I think some of the reactions to the car, it's more power, less flower. People are kind of, oh, how cute, right? It's like this fun, warm, buzzy thing. That it's great to see journalists get really fired up and excited about. So I think that's been really, really great. So if we say, oh, the car is getting a lot of buzz, you'll be like, yeah, I've heard that. Okay, that's cute. But it's so true. And it's really, really genuine. And people really, really adore, I think, what this car can be about. And it's exciting to see tech publications, auto publications, et cetera, just really get excited about the car. And I'm excited because I think when you talk about a car having lots of Easter eggs in it, you're onto something kind of special. This was something and I'll talk about South by Southwest in a second, but journalists, especially if you Google, which I know it's hard to pay attention, so if you're on your phone, like we all are, some of us have two phones with us at all times, and you happen to be bored, please Google the ID Buzz and look up Easter eggs, and I think you'll see a lot of fun things that are in this vehicle, and I really encourage you to go to the display and check it out. Smiley faces in unexpected places, a little umbrella with a little bit of rain in the back where the rear windshield wiper is, and a few little tricks and things like that inside that we think are really super fun. Push play and pause for the gas pedal and the brake pedal and all that good stuff. So it's fun to see this, and it's neat to see the electric power, I think, and Easter eggs kind of idea come together. So that's been really fun to see. And of course, having a stage like South by Southwest made a ton of sense for us to bring this car to the US market. So that was the first time that we actually brought the vehicle here for people to check out and see this production version of it. Again, it's the European version, but we wanted our US customer base to check it out. So we decided South by Southwest was a great platform for us. It's a global partnership that we have with South by for the next 3 years, both with ourselves and Porsche and Audi as well, so we're all in this together. And this first year, we thought, again, perfect timing for us to throw a bit of nostalgia out there and make this a lot of fun and bring our ID Buzz out to see the world. So, super, super simple idea. When I was walking around the show earlier and seeing all the awesome displays, it's so great to see so much, I think, excitement come back and so much life into the building and a lot of great work by a lot of the partners here helping to support everybody for auto show displays. And I can say for South by, why that made sense versus something like an auto show is, first, we could be outside, which right now I think is really nice and makes the car a little bit more approachable, a little bit more easy for people to feel comfortable around. But also, it's just a good mainstream way for us to check out reaction to the car. And so, simple thing. Nothing like some of the awesome displays here, but it was a clean, simple idea. Bring the car out for people to take a look at. The buzz stop was literally just that. It's the car, and then a makeshift container that we did up, and a little area where people could ask questions, interact with a product specialist, and come check it out. So we had this there for about 2 weeks' time over the course of part of the conference. Thousands and thousands of people saw this car. And again, the reaction was incredibly positive. And I think, the saying on the side of the car, great things start with a smile, was so true. And again, if you go up to the car today and you don't smile, now's your chance. And by the way, when you smile, it just makes you feel better. It's good for your wellness and your well-being. Okay, so when you need that at like 10 o'clock at night and you're still on emails doing work and you're like, the buzz. Okay. Take a look.
I love the electric buzz.
The ID Buzz is cute.
It's going to be a national icon.
I think the ID Bus is a vibe, definitely.
The ID Buzz is the future.
Yay. So, a lot of great reaction to the car. And we kept it really simple. And we just asked people literally, how did the car make them feel? Optimistic, I think, thinking about the future. So many incredible reactions in terms of, wow, this car is like an electric car? That's really cool. That's really awesome. We drove around the vehicle, in the vehicle a little bit. We did some media ride-alongs and ride-and-drives with our PR crew. And I swear to you, driving past people on bicycles, walking along, in other cars, just, again, people have a lot of really positive reaction to the vehicle. So it's, I think, going to be a really great thing for us. But in terms of results, really great. We saw a ton of traffic to our website. We saw a lot of impressions, about, I think, 400 plus, just for the South by activation itself. And even the announcement itself had a couple 100 million impressions. So lots of good stuff there. We had national coverage, a lot of folks interested and excited. And of course, one of the questions they love asking is, when is it coming, and how can I get one? So we'll talk about that later. All right. But I wanted to ask Elisa to join me here because she is in charge of all of our media and a lot of other things. And so one of the things that I asked her to do was just check out the reaction to the car and the media reaction and what do people say. So she's been doing a ton of homework. She's probably watched more ID Buzz videos from journalists and from bloggers, influencers, than probably any of us have. So tell us more, Elisa.
Thanks, KG. I think KG said it best. There was so much excitement around the buzz, so many smiles I saw come across, so many of the interviews and so many of the faces. And some of the themes that we really came across is the design and versatility. And there was so much conversation around how VW was able to take some of the nostalgic best of what the microbus was of the past and really lean into it into the future and combine that with some of that modern tech that we're looking for in an EV and really make it fun and make it such a unique experience to be a part of. And I can't tell you how many countless stories that people went into on these interviews on all the different ways that they were going to enjoy it. I heard surfboards, I heard countless 5 or 6 kids they were gonna have in the vehicles, all of the road trips, the camping experiences. Big theme that kept coming around is like, they wish it was here tomorrow, and I can attest to that I wish it was here tomorrow as well alongside them. But it's just an overwhelming experience of just design versatility, happiness, and just what it's going to bring to our lineup and what's going to bring to most of our customers that are going to get to experience it.
I love it. And we had our global CEO, Herbert Diess, here as well, and a lot of media stories with him riding in the vehicle and driving around and all that good stuff. And it was just neat to see somebody who is obviously, very big position, has a lot of weight on his shoulders, and same thing, when he's driving around the car, he was also smiling for a good portion of the time. So I think we're onto something with that one. We also use the opportunity to work with a number of influencers and creators, and I know, Meta talked about it earlier. Obviously, Allison talked about working with different celebrities and influencers as well. So not necessarily something new, but we took very much a creator-first approach, starting actually with the ID4. So Elisa, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So at VW, we really leaned in, and we really wanted to start to tell stories from diverse perspectives. And that was not only just leaning into more culturally diverse communities and culturally diverse storytellers, it was also about diverse perspectives, diverse experiences, and how do we then engage with customers at a broader perspective, especially as we start talking about EVs, which could be a pretty heavy subject from time to time if we start to go into like the technology and the basics of it. How do we start to show consumers that this really does fit into your life? And so we really leaned into figuring out how do we work with creators that can do that in a compelling way that was really unique to their audiences. And we looked across the spectrum. We looked out onto things that we wouldn't have typically gone into in terms of a typical auto influencer or an auto storyteller. And we're looking for, how does music play a role in that? Music has played a historical role with VW, but how do we look at that now, and how do we, invigorate that kind of an experience? Sustainability. We worked with sustainable storytellers, and how do we combine those messages and really reach their authentic audience to be able to tell our story and our stories together? And that's what makes for really meaningful content. So when Global approached us to work with them on the South by Southwest experience, they asked us to help them lean into, what would be, conversations that we can lean into for influencers to really have, these unique storytelling experiences. And so we looked at these 2 influencers that we have listed here. So Eva Zubak, who is a solo adventurer. She took an opportunity to kind of just change her life, and she decided she wanted to go on these storytelling adventure experiences. And she was able to take that and really authentically go into her environment and show how, potentially living in a bus and going out into the adventure outback can really enjoy her life. And then Laura Young had an amazing opportunity to speak with Scott Keogh and really talk about sustainability and just their own personal perspectives of where they see, that going in their own lives. And she's an amazing activist within that space. So that authentic storytelling to her audience meant so much, and we were able to incorporate the EV bus. They were having the interview in the back seat, and it just felt great.
And I love, as we talk about the industry evolving and how do we connect with younger people in new ways, how do we really, I think, kind of tap into the fun that we know automotive is all about, but make it relevant for a whole diverse group of people who may not have grown up knowing how to drive a stick like Tanya did, which I know which her first car was, and it was a cool one. So we also worked with influencers that we worked with in the past. So you want to talk about what we did with Girls Guide?
Awesome. So Girls Guide and Scotty Reese have been an amazing partner for us, starting out with ID4, and we continue to develop there. And as we start talking about influencers and us leaning in for these storytelling experiences, it's also really understanding and taking the time to work with a partner that connects you to these voices and gives you the opportunity to really evaluate, what is their brand? What is their tone? How are they connecting with communities at large? How does that fit into the VW brand and what we want to say and what we want to stand for? And even through those conversations, and I know it was mentioned even earlier, we're also starting to get experiences where we're having a two-way dialogue with these influencers. They want to understand, who is VW? What does VW stand for now? What are their perceptions? What are we doing to move into the future? And we're having those conversations, and partners like Girls Guide to Cars that provides us opportunity and access to different voices to really help us engage with a wider net of consumers to really build on these communities.
Should we look at a little video? Check it out?
Sure.
All right.
I have the honor of spending the afternoon with this guy. This is Scott Keogh, and this is the Volkswagen ID Buzz.
It's one of the world's most iconic vehicles. And I think it's that way because it's like a storytelling machine.
No one wants to be like everybody else.
That's what this vehicle does. I think it's going to be for people with small businesses. I think it said people are going on adventures. So I think this is going to cover generations.
Cool. I agree. Generations. I love it. You guys know me. I love talking about ways that we can attract younger people to not only buy cars, because we need them to buy them a lot in mass, but also in terms of working in automotive. And I think that the eyes of the creators were on this car, and I think they were really finding some interesting ways to learn about automotive and maybe being a creator in the automotive space. And it's exciting to see what Scotty's doing, Scotty Reese doing with Girls Guide. And in fact, she's going to be here with our ID Buzz on the stage, right?
Absolutely. We'll be capturing content for the next few days, and it's just that we sat down with her on countless sessions to really understand who is it that we want to help bring smile to the outward. So
I think the answer is everyone.
Yes.
Everyone. Who doesn't need a smile? Okay. I'll stop with the smiling. Sorry, Elisa, go ahead.
No, so come on by. We'll love to see. You might even see some children and a dog. So Subaru's not the only one with a dog in the...
Dogs for all. Right. All right, so wrapping up, because I know we've got lunch coming up here. We've got some, I think, cool next steps happening with the car. So the car will be officially revealed, the US version of it, later this year. So stay tuned. We're going to do some really exciting and cool stuff around that time frame. And then next year, we go into our pre-launch phase, which will be a lot of fun things. And I'm sure that a lot of you would love to know how to work with us and do something for ID Buzz. I've gotten a lot of folks saying, I would love to help launch that car. We have a bit of a road to get there because we're not technically launching it until 2024. But that gives us lots of time, I think, to engage with and get a lot of great ideas. And poor Elisa knows I've asked a million times, if anybody says insert brand here, it's usually not for Volkswagen, and especially not for the ID Buzz, because honestly, we probably don't even need to advertise the car, which we will, don't worry, we will, we will. But I think it's fair to say we're looking for out-of-the-box, really cool, fun ideas that really, I think, will bring the car to life and the brand and tap into nostalgia and the future and all those good things. Anything else you want to say about that? You've got a great one, yeah? All right.
I think we
Melissa
have
will
time
take ideas
for
later.
2 questions from the audience, and then we have to go into our next segment.
Hi, I'm Ashley Hamilton with Ad Media, again. You spoke a lot about tapping into younger generations. Millennials are obviously the biggest group buying cars right now. We're often known as the generation of nostalgia. There's a lot of retro, a lot of vintage. Seeing the bus come back in its new form, I'm very interested to know if we'll possibly be seeing the Beetle start production again, maybe with an EV twist.
I thought you were going to ask about the California, the camper style version of it, which a lot of people have asked about that, and that one there is some plans afoot to potentially bring that over here too. So stay tuned for that. It's funny, we get that question now and then. Not that I'm aware of, but maybe we crowdsource something. You never know.
I'm crossing my fingers for that one because that
I
was
know.
one of mine.
I had one of those too. It was so much fun. So great question. I love that.
One more question over here.
Hey, so it seems like obviously generating a lot of buzz around the buzz. Sorry. But are you starting to see a bit of like a brand halo effect from these like really unique activations that you're doing on social media and South by, and like is it translating to sales of other Volkswagen vehicles?
Yes, and I should have mentioned that before. Thank you. So we have seen about a 500, I think it was, % bump up within the first day or two in terms of search when the vehicle was revealed. A lot of that traffic flowed through our site, not surprisingly through the buzz pages that we have up there, hand raiser pages, things like that. But we've seen about a 15% switch over to ID4 so far. It's early to say that, but I think even with just a few days of people coming through the site, that was neat to see a lot more of that halo effect come about. And as we are trying to, I think, reestablish and reinvigorate the brand as a cultural icon for today, I think this car has a lot of great potential to do that. It seems like a lot of people are not just saying it's ID Buzz over here, but this is really truly Volkswagen. I think because it's a car that people are familiar with the idea from years ago and the good things that you think about when you think about Volkswagen, and then some new things as well. So I think we'll see a lot of that. Great question. Cool.
Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful and entertaining as always, and congratulations again on your award for Best Electric Campaign. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.